Good morning and welcome everyone to our weekly small business support webinar to support our small businesses impacted by the wildfires of Los Angeles in January 2025. My name is John Bueri. I am the Deputy Director for the Dr. Lucy Jones Center and Coordinator for Together for LA. We want to welcome everyone for joining us today. We do see a number of people still joining into the webinar, and so as they do so, we encourage you to use the Q&A function to ask questions to our speakers. Today we have a number of speakers from various sectors, but we're going to start today with two speakers speaking to the idea of web connectivity and businesses moving online, either temporarily or to expand their opportunities to be sustainable and more resilient by having a web presence. And then later in the webinar today, we'll have speakers from the EDD and the SBA to answer questions for anyone that might have questions for those experts as well. So first, I would like to introduce Joe Hillis. And Joe is with the ITDRC, if I did that correctly. And he's the co-founder and director of operations. And they're a nonprofit focused on serving businesses after a disaster to make sure that they're able to access internet and technology resources to get back up online and running. So Joe, take it away.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And hopefully you can see my screen now. As you mentioned, I'm Joe Hillis. I'm the co-founder and operations director for the Information Technology Disaster Resource Center. We're a volunteer-driven nonprofit, and our goal is to eliminate connectivity and technology barriers before, during, and after disaster. We do this many times a year all over North America for the most part, other parts of the world as well. But our goal really for this today is to try to provide you with a little bit of overview and maybe put you on to some thoughts about how to prepare your business for a catastrophic event, likely what you may have just gone through, and then hopefully help you get on the right track to being prepared for the next ones. But real quick, as an organization, our primary focus areas really are on helping with life safety, mass care, community recovery, and then ultimately long-term recovery. And that's really the stage that that LA is in right now, just entering the long-term recovery. So we're fairly practiced in a lot of these areas. We certainly had a presence from day two, I think, of the fires in the LA area. We still have some sites open around town supporting some of the NGOs that are taking care of that. So let me just kind of dive in real quick. And some of the tips I want you to take away for, when you're thinking about preparing your business for a response for a disaster or for recovery from a disaster. And I'll briefly dive into these, guiding principles. And number one, I mean, as with every business process, you need to understand where you are today. What does it look like? We know that the majority of the folks that are in the LA area, the types of environmental threats that you have there, whether it's wildfires, whether it's earthquakes, flooding, and of course landslides now are a consideration. But even your PSPS, power outages. Those are all things that you should be thinking about when you're developing a business continuity strategy, and certainly for recovery. So it's rare that I get to talk to a group of folks that has just experienced this. So there's not a lot that I can tell you about what it's like to, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks post-disaster, even a month post-disaster, because you're actually given to live that. But one of the things that many businesses fail to, think about is they're just the holistic operation of the business, right? I mean, everything from how many square foot you need. Do you need a loading dock? Do you not need a loading dock? These are all things that are going to help you make decisions as you go through and you develop a plan. And certainly, sharing with peer groups and attending informational sessions like this, just to kind of get your brain thinking about that. But when we think about the technology things, the foundation of technology is really it's power and it's electricity, right? And connectivity. And without those, your systems may not power up. Even if they do power up, you may not be able to communicate. So you need to be thinking, a little bit more strategically about, what are the alternatives? We know that, the cable company provides internet connections. The telephone company provides internet connections. Cellular provides that. So you have a number of things you can do. And, I'm sure most of you know that you can actually probably get an internet connection off of your cellular device. So these are all things that you should be thinking of. What is your primary, mode of communications? What's your alternate? What's your contingency? And then finally, what's your emergency? And it may involve your emergency may mean that I have to pack up and leave and go 3 counties away to where the power is stable, where communications are stable. But these are all things that you should be thinking about as you're assessing your business's your needs. And then with that, again, there are a number of options that are out there. There are a number of organizations, even SBA, FEMA, they all have guidance on ways that you can plan and for business continuity things. So don't stick your head, don't get attached to the first shiny thing that you see. Spend some time and evaluate all the things. So, and a lot of the things that you're thinking about is like your accounting software. Is it on-prem, is it on a desktop, or is it in the cloud? Cloud things are really, that's the way, everything has gone to, and certainly from a continuity standpoint, because if you had to get on an airplane and fly to the East Coast, obviously you can just jump on the internet there and be back into your accounting system if that's where it is. But you may have other things that are local, like, HR and payroll systems, or CAD drawings, or, product catalogs, all those things. You need to understand where those live and who owns those. Do you, as a small business owner, you probably own most of your processes, but do you have other contractors or vendors or somebody that manages those things? And those are all things that you want to get into your plan and have a handle on where those are. And then where is it backed up? And I know backup is kind of a dirty word to some, and there's so many different ways to back systems up. But just remember, if it was all on-prem and you didn't have a process for that, you may be starting from scratch. All that to say, a plan needs to be not only written, certainly in electronic format. You need to go back and revisit that a minimum of 1 time a year, if not quarterly, or when something significant happens. So if you move to a new facility and now you have 3 times the processes you used to have, that's the time for you to update your plan for that. And then finally, what I'll leave you with is testing your plan. So a plan is nothing more than words on paper. And you know, we just have a tendency to do it once, feel good about doing it, but we rarely come back and revisit that. And that's something you need to make a priority, to come back and test your plan, pull the plug, make your internet connection go away. If that's the case, see what breaks. The whole goal is not to put you out of business, but it is to let you know what you can expect if certain systems go offline. Same thing with power outages and those types of things. So as ITDRC is, again, we're a 5,100 member organization. Most of all of our folks work in the technology sector somewhere, and we're here to help you be successful in your recovery. So if there are ways that we can assist with that, feel free to reach out to us. itdrc.org is our website address. Feel free to submit a ticket for assistance with there. We'll get you matched with somebody that can, hopefully help address your problem. So with that, I yield back. I appreciate the opportunity. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Joe. If folks have questions for Joe or about ITDRC, obviously there's a link that we put in the chat. Joe's going to stick around for the webinar today, and you can use the Q&A function to ask those questions. So thanks, Joe, for all that great information. I'd now like to turn it over to a colleague that we've worked with for a long time, Elaine Rodriguez. She's the director and co-founder of the Los Angeles Economic Equity Accelerator and Fellowship. Her expertise is helping businesses get online and get their businesses to be more resilient by having a diversity of activities that they can undertake. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Elaine to talk about her programs and some resources available for businesses right now here in Los Angeles. Elaine.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everybody. Elaine Rodriguez. Happy Friday, first and foremost, and I hope everybody's doing really well from wherever it is that you're joining us. I'm going to make this really short and brief so that you guys can have some actionable takeaways and that you can really engage with some of our programs directly. And I'm going to drop in all the information front and center so that you can have the information handy. So Yeah, as John mentioned, we run an accelerator and a fellowship program. We're hosted by Cal State LA, but we're actually all over the county working with different organizations and groups. And we focus on helping businesses either get started and really leverage online presence and or boost their online presence. So the first resource that I want to share with you all, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see. We are actually one of the operators for LA Optimize 2.0. Now, while the applications for LA Optimize 2.0 are right now, there's a wait list to have your website built and or have your website optimized. We actually did go ahead and put together a really great accelerator, like an online accelerator academy. If you're unsure as to how to get started or how to get some of your documents together, we actually have a really great like 3-part. These videos are super short. We made them in-house. There's worksheets at the end of these videos that you can actually convert them into tangible deliverables for your business, right? So at the end of your brand video, you're gonna have a full like list of all the things you need for you to build in your brand. If you haven't revised your brand, one of the things that I want to like share, and a lot of people are like, well, I already have a brand, I already have a website, I already have SEO. These things shouldn't be constant, right? So just like your business plan, just like any of the items that you work for your business, you're constantly refining them. You're constantly looking at like what else you can change. Right now, for those of you that are in business and that are, were affected directly by the fires or any other kind of economic downturns, this is the best time to actually go through this again, because what you might have thought about, a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, would have, could have been different, right? So, and things change. For those of you that, again, I just worked with a business owner last week who, unfortunately lost her building in the fires. And I said, well, your customer base is no longer where you were at now, right? So you have to develop a brand new customer base. So we went through like the entire process all over again from the beginning. And she started to realize, oh yeah, there's a lot of other people I can tap into while I rebuild my business, right? So this is a really great place to start because you can tag in, do it on your spare time, do it on your phone, do it while you're in transit, right? Like listen to the videos as they're talking to you. Always a good opportunity to just relearn. Like I said, the worksheets at the end are actually really great. And then we actually use these as a core base before we start building websites for our small businesses. So again, SEO strategies as well as developing your story, right? And making sure that there's visual content that is relevant to your audience right now. Really, really, really helpful. I am going to drop in. I think, I saw that set that already dropped in the LA Optimize website, but I'm going to drop it in here again. And you guys can tag into in here. I do recommend that you sign up for if you go into the main page, you can sign up. If this application opens up again, then you're already in the queue and in line to access this program. So again, there is an accelerator here at the top of the page that then gives you all the videos, and you can start, stop as you desire. The second resource that I want to bring to you guys that is also part of the work that we're doing, and I think it's really, really helpful, is our economic mobility initiative. So I'm going to drop this in as well. We have an entrepreneurship academy that has been really helpful. We actually have had a lot of businesses that have been in business for quite a while, but then when they go through this academy, they're learning new things, right? I think the best part about joining a program that is cohort based or that is working with other small businesses is that you're going to get ideas from other folks on collaboration, other ideas on partnership, other ideas on how you can leverage and grow your business. So again, you guys can apply now. If you're all of these trainings are free of charge. So just make sure that you guys are applying. If you go through this website, they will connect you to your closest academy to you. So it doesn't matter what part of the LA County you're in. Different partners are running these academies, and so just come to the one that's closest to you. And you're gonna develop a lot of different tools. But again, this is all really great for you guys to kind of, you know, kick off and jumpstart your business as well, right? So I wanted to share those two really great programs, actionable. Make sure you guys sign up and come visit us. I'm gonna pass it back to John.
Great. We had a couple questions in the chat in the Q&A um, uh, regarding the trainings. There's no fee for the trainings, right? Both these programs you offered are free of charge, uh,
Correct.
and they're on a rolling basis.
Correct.
Uh, and then the contact details, you'll type that in, you said, or did you? You could. How did people connect with LA Optimize? Just the website, or is there a person there that they should connect with?
There is a there just to the website, and they actually go straight to our email. So we connect with you guys directly.
Perfect, perfect. And then Shayla did ask, I don't know if everybody can see this, but she validated, she said they built her website for her. So there's a testimony that it works, and there's a program that's helping folks out there. Thanks, Shayla, for sharing that. And so let me just okay. So any other if can you drop the link to the entrepreneur's website? And I know it's been in there a couple times, but we'll redo that as well. I think that's the emi.lacounty.gov, LA County Entrepreneurship Academy. Yeah, that just got dropped in again for everybody. Great. Well, thank you, Elaine, for being here for that. I also want to let folks know Elaine will be here as um, there's a question, Elaine, in Spanish, and if you want to just hit that one, that'd be great. Um, uh, so there is a question about where the cohort locations meet. Is this an online version, or are they meeting in person?
There's both. So depending on what part of the county they're attending to, but most partners are offering virtual and in person, depending on what their preference is. And I believe all of the partners are offering English and Spanish as well. So en español, si hablan español, tenemos clases en español también.
Terrific. Thank you. I want to also bring in, just to let folks know, Joe's still here, but also we've got some partners from the SBA. We have Marianne Bradfield's here, Shashil Kumar, and Lee Carnes. Kearns are here, and as well as Felix Cantu from EDD. And I know there's some questions about those. If you have questions for those agencies as well, now's the chance to put them in the chat. But Kimberly James is asking about grants available. I don't know if you're asking about the LA Small Business Regional Fund grant, or if you're talking about grants related to Elaine's programs. But there are grants. There is still an application period open for the regional fund. The first phase closed, but the second phase, I believe, is still accepting applications for that. Elaine, you want to?
No, I think that no, the LA County grants closed on Wednesday, unfortunately. The
Oh,
second
Wednesday. Sorry
Wednesday.
about that. Okay.
Yeah, so
And corrected.
if we raise if we're able to raise a little bit more money, I think there might be some more for the relief grant. TMC Capital is still receiving applications for their small business strong grant. You know, I don't know how much I don't know when their last cycle is going to be to receive those. And then I know that the Women's Source Center in Pasadena also has one. Let me look for the link here, and I will drop it in the here we go. There is one more here as well. This is from the small business grant, and then I believe Lendistry just opened one up that is statewide. I will look for the grant.
Thanks, Elaine. She's got all the resources ready for you. As you're looking, I'm going to switch over to SBA. There's a question: is there funding for Altadena business owner who lost his mobile mechanic van, including tools?
The bottom line is those are businesses, and those are equipment, and yeah, bottom line is yes. There should be resources available. Everybody's situation is different. So go in and see those customer service representatives, either at the Disaster Recovery Center or Business Recovery Center or Disaster Loan Outreach Center. You can go on to lending.sba.gov. The easiest way to find a location that's nearest you is to hit make an appointment. There's a red button on that. And once you find the California wildfires, and go in and take all that information, we should be able to help you. To what extent depends on your circumstances.
Great, thanks for that.
And can I jump in here? I just want to make sure everybody knows that the deadline for physical damages, such as those just asked about, has it been extended to March 31st, along with the FEMA deadline. So you should, I recommend getting into the center sooner rather than later, but the deadline was extended, and I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words, and I just put the updated fact sheet with all the information on there in the chat.
That'll be showing up in just a minute. Thank you for that. Other questions for SBA, our friends at the Employment Development Department, EDD, or for Joe or Elaine around the technology or business resources that we discussed today? Just put those in the chat. Appreciate that. And I've sent some private messages to folks as well to follow up on some of those questions. We do continue to seek out and promote the resources. We'll be doing a quick update to the Together for LA.org website, where we'll be listing the resources that Elaine mentioned as well. Make sure that those are up there. I know the team at the LA Economic Development Corporation, who is stepped up to host that website, is making those changes and updates as well. So you'll see that in the coming days as well as where all our past resources are. So if there's questions that you have related to past webinars that you've been at, you can review those. They're all posted on togetherforla.org, and it'll take you right there. We do know that some folks have joined this webinar every week, week after week, and we appreciate your participation. We also want to make sure that we're providing the resources that are useful for you. There was a question from an anonymous asking about opt-in for debris clearance for businesses. I mentioned for that, and this is really for anyone, if there's questions that we can't answer on this webinar, we're happy to take your information and follow up with you. You can also go to togetherforla.org, and at the bottom of that screen, you'll see need assistance, and that'll go to our partners at, again, the LAEDC. Lyndon Johnson, who's on the call, his team is responding to those and either directly assisting and answering questions or connecting you to resources and experts who can provide that resource. I think this builds on what Elaine was saying earlier, that there are dozens, if not more, resource centers, nonprofits, and other partners working with the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, Pasadena, Malibu, Santa Monica, and other cities that are trying to provide those resources. So we are trying to act as the hub here today and every Friday as a way for you to connect to those resources. If we don't have the answer, we will connect you to someone who can get that for you. Here's a question for Marianne and her team. After we rebuild our property, can we change the type of business from, say, a dry cleaners to a cafe as a borrower from the SBA? Is there restriction on what's actually the funds are being used for? Is it build back what was there or build back a business?
Okay, in true government form, I'm going to tell you it all depends. And I hate to say that because everybody's circumstances are different. To give you an example, if I am making an application to rebuild my building, we loan funds for what insurance and other sources do not, to get you back to a like building. Okay, we're not going to help you expand, unfortunately, but we have other programs that Lee can talk about that will help you do that. But it doesn't mean you can't rebuild it with some of your own money to do something a little different. We just loan for that narrow portion. However, we're not going to tell you what that building can be used for necessarily. So, but again, it's all about what type of loan you're taking. If you take an economic injury loan, that's a whole different story. That's that's for that business that you're applying for. And I'm going to thank Seta for putting all the locations into the chat so you can find a location where a customer service rep can help you with your individual circumstances. I just hate to tell you something wrong if I tried to guess.
Great, thank you. And I'll acknowledge too that you may have zoning rules and laws in place depending upon the jurisdiction which you're speaking of, unrelated to the funding site. Sometimes, if you've got a dry cleaner, it may or may not allow for a restaurant usage to be there. So definitely talk to your local city as well. And I'm sure they're happy to, if they haven't been, they should be happy to work with you to help figure out what your next step is, not just for yourself, but for the community in that regard. So thanks for that great question. Lily asks for EDD. So Felix, this is for you. She received a notice unemployment award, but all values show 0. What should I do to correct the employment info?
What you want to do is go ahead and reach out to the Employment Development Department to get the information or get that information corrected. Sometimes if there are certain federal claims or out-of-state wages, then some of the wages don't appear. So everything's done on a case-by-case basis. So you definitely want to reach out to EDD, unemployment insurance.
And when you say EDD, where should they actually go? Because it's a big department, and sometimes folks get a little
right. EDD is made up of so many different agencies. I particularly work for Workforce Services, but you want to go to the unemployment insurance. You can go to you can go online to www.edd.ca.gov and follow the dashboard. And I'll go ahead and I can put that in the chat. But you can also give them a call on the website. There's the phone number for the unemployment insurance where you can go ahead and give them a call. And they can go ahead and get, and again, everything's done on a case by case basis. So they would probably be able to answer that question for you.
Great. And thank you for that, Felix. Here's another question. This is for Elaine. Someone's trying to sign up for the LA Optimized website, but it keeps kicking them out. Is there a phone number or maybe an email they can use to reach out to them? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, I'll drop it in the chat.
Great. So Regina, stand by. All right. If there are other questions, we're definitely here to answer them for you, and we'll stick around for the next couple of minutes. Marianne, you want to offer some insight? Your hand is raised.
Actually, I want to point out that Lee is here and she might have something to add about some of our resource partners. She put something in chat. And Lee, I apologize for not calling on you.
Great. Lee, take it away.
That's quite all right. I just wanted to highlight that if you need some one-on-one business advice, SCORE, Small Business Development Centers, Women's Business Centers, Veterans Business Outreach Centers. In California, some of these are paid for by your federal and state tax dollars. You can get a free one-on-one business advising session. If you have been impacted by the fires in any way, or just you're doing something in business in general, this is just a way for you to get that free one-on-one business advising session. Nobody's saying that you don't know how to run your business. Nobody's saying anything like that. It's just these are services that are available to you. Why not get that subject matter expert who can say like, oh, have you thought of this situation? Oh, I know what you're trying to do. Just like John had mentioned, did the zoning, have you looked at the zoning in this situation? That would be a way for you to know and have that. It makes it go faster in order for you to still be and it didn't cost you anything, or in a way these are your tax dollars and you've paid for a service that you're not taking advantage of.
Great. Thank you, Lee. Regina asks this as a follow-up, can nonprofits get services as well?
Yes, I recommend the SCORE organization if you do an advanced mentor search on SCORE. So I say SCORE like in soccer, SCORE, score.org, advanced mentor search. That way you have somebody who has a specialty in nonprofits. And as long as you're willing to video conference with them, they have a specialty in nonprofits. If they're in Florida, they have a specialty. You'll be able to reach them. If they can meet you at 8 o'clock in the morning, Florida time, just remember that that's 5 o'clock in the morning, California time. Just want to put that out there.
Great, thank you. I want to get to a question. It is a little complicated. We have an anonymous attendee from Malibu that's referencing the closures of PCH and other roads in and out of the area. While we did unfortunately see a lot of homes and businesses lost in that area, there were a number that did survive, but due to the physical location and the access pieces, and with the recovery and PCH's own stability and rain and other things, it's hard to access. I'm summarizing a bit of what they said. And so I want to acknowledge for everyone here that the LA County is working on a promotional program to make sure that folks like those businesses that have survived in Malibu or the Palisades or the Pasadena, Altadena area, or even, are those that were directly impacted but sort of having but haven't been destroyed or otherwise closed, that there is more attention paid to them. So I know that our partners at the county were not able to be here today, but I do know that the County Department of Economic Opportunity is working, and I've been on a number of meetings with them to try to provide both resources and sort of support to these businesses and raise the issue around PCH specifically. So while the answer isn't here's what is exactly happening, I do know that it is an issue they're aware of, that they're working on, and that they're bringing partners in to also help address as well. So I know it's anonymous, but if you want to chat us your contact information, we can follow up directly with you, or you can go through togetherforla.org and put your information and say, I'd like to talk with the county about this, and the team there can forward it to us and them, and we can work with you on that. But thank you so much for raising that issue and recognizing that the work we're doing as a community is not just for those who have lost their business, but for all businesses that are impacted as well. So thank you so much for raising that issue. As you're considering any other questions you might have, again, I just want to acknowledge the partners that we have here today from the EDD and SBA, who have been here week after week answering questions and directing resources, but also LAEDC is also here with us and can take your questions offline as well for direct assistance. The Together for LA Coalition is really made up of a public-private partnership of nonprofits and for-profits and government agencies who are committed to the success of small businesses to help them recover and be more resilient. And so that last question really drives home the reality that it does take all of us focusing on supporting through policies, through programs, through resources and assistance, the businesses that are here and the businesses that want to come back. And so appreciate your patience and understanding that this is not always the fastest process to address individual concerns, but we are working to do so. I'll also remind you all that we'll be back here next Friday with more resources and opportunities to ask questions. We'll make sure that the county is back with us next time as well to talk about their programs that they're undertaking to support businesses. Please encourage your colleagues, other business organizations that you might be a part of, to send out to their membership the resources that are here through Together for LA and these weekly webinars. With that, I do not see any other questions right now. I want to thank our panelists and make sure that we continue to connect with each other. Regina, you're looking for a phone number, right? Stay on the line and we'll make sure that we get you actually an email address that you can use to contact the Optimize folks. So just stay tuned for that. We'll make sure that gets in the chat in just a moment. But for everyone else, please be safe this weekend. I know if you're local, it's raining still, at least where I am here in Los Angeles, and we want to be connected with each other. We'll see you all next Friday again. And please, again, reach out to togetherforla.org for recordings and for the opportunity to connect with direct resources through the LAEDC. Have a great afternoon, everybody.